Hello, and welcome to episode 72 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we talk all things flying and aviation in midlife. My name's Ben. I'm a commercial and instrument-rated pilot here in the metro Atlanta area. Fly Cessna 182, we like to call the Beast. As always, joining me this eve is Brian, private pilot in Nashville, home of the Bachelorette Super Charlie, flying his plane, a Cherokee 180 named Lucy. Hello, Brian.
How's it going, Ben?
Going very, very well, thank you. Also joining us tonight from the left coast, Portlandia, as we like to call it, our sport pilot extraordinaire, Ted, flying the Flight Design CTLS we like to call affectionately the Egg. Hey, Ted.
The Egg, doing well. How you doing?
Awesome. Thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. We kind of switched gears and time and dates and everything, and we're super, super lucky to have with us tonight a previous guest who has decided to join us again, this craziness again, Scott Wexler. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. We thought it'd be a great idea. Since we have this episode is going to be covering a preview of the Fly-In, and what better way to do that than have somebody who may be on the frequency with all of us crazies flying around in his airspace. We can maybe help a lot of people answer some questions before they even know they had the questions.
We're doing this to we're preemptively absolving ourselves of a lot of liability by having Scott on, BNA Tracon controller. Let's do this. And let's just get it all out on the table. Whatever you want to tell us, just tell us now. And then whatever happens, we have, we'll have evidence that, that we did all the due diligence we could possibly do. And it's not our fault.
As long as you've gone through this course, you can't get a pilot deviations.
I was going to say, we're so well prepared that we'll have the number. We don't have to write it
have the number in advance. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, real quick, just the housekeeping stuff, Ben. I'm just going to bang through this real quick because I want to make the most out of Scott's time, and Scott is going to be only with us for a few minutes here. But real quick, just wanted to say, everybody knows that we broadcast live on YouTube, 8 p.m. Eastern. Live chat's open for questions and comments. Audio podcast, you know where to get it. Go do it. We love getting your feedback. Go to our website, midlifepilotpodcast.com, and hit us up. And you can find all the things there at the website. And quickly also, thanks to the new patrons at the Beast Stolkit level, Shalem S, Unsupervised, Romeo Hotel, and Randall C. We thank you guys very much for supporting us, and it means a lot.
We actually had one more come in tonight. Aaron R. joined us as well. So thank you to all the Patreon supporters.
Very cool. Scott, you guys, you and Shelley were nice enough to be on the show with us a while back, and you gave us a lot of really helpful information in and around the Super Charlie, and that was great. If everybody hasn't listened to that episode, please go back and check it out. And they are quite the tandem. And you guys are eminently the most busy people that I've ever seen. You're kind of heroes of. I don't know. I don't know what protein shakes you're doing or whatever, but it's working.
Yeah, we do stay pretty busy. That's for sure. No, I appreciate you having us on, and anytime that we can talk about, helping you guys out and understand and navigate around the airspace, we'd love to do it. So,
yeah, and so I think maybe a good place to start would be just that a lot of the people that are coming in are not familiar with flying in this region or in this particular airspace, and I think that while some things are going to be just like any other trip you would take to any other airport, it's always helpful to know a little bit more, situationally about what might be unique to this environment or not, and we've been trying to get the word out about just little things like, southeast of John Toon, there's a gigantic tower that is insanely tall and you don't want to be running into that, or, basic things. But maybe we can start off with, because one of the questions that we got right away from somebody who's flying in, they asked, if I'm coming from the south and we're expecting runway 20 based on the forecast, what would be the expected routing? Are they going to send me all around the Charlie, or are they going to take me right over BNA, or what is the preferred way to bring people in from maybe the south and the southeast?
Yeah. So if you're getting flight following, typically what we're going to do if you're coming in from the south or southeast, a lot of it will depend on if we're north or south at Nashville. So they try to match what John Toon tries to match what we're doing at Nashville Tower. So if Toon's south and just say we're south, most likely you're going to get routed approximately 12 to 15 miles south of Nashville. So not necessarily around the Charlie, but if you're below 3,000, you'll probably be the closest you'll get to Nashville is about 12 miles south of the field. And that's to account for all the departures coming off Nashville, climbing to 4,000. So it obviously takes some time for them to get to 4,000, and about 12 miles or further south is a good area to be 3,000 feet and below. So again, coming from the south, you can be planning to route to the south of Nashville until you get west of Nashville's upwind. They'll probably keep you on that northwesterly heading. If you're coming from the east or southeast, it's going to be kind of a 50-50. A lot of times we'll take you over the top of Nashville at 3,000 feet because obviously there's usually no airplanes right over top of Nashville Airport. But that's up to the controller. If you ask for it and you're coming from the east, you're a lot more likely to get it. I think we talked about that before. If you tell a controller, hey, I want to go over top of Nashville at 3,000, we know you know what you're doing and you know that that's something that we do. So it's very easy for us to say that's, approved procedure like Nashville.
Awesome. And Ben, what was your question?
Well, I was going to ask something similar because I do know that we have quite a few people coming in from the east that will, if not on an IFR plan, will most likely be. And I was really going to kind of drive down to what altitudes is going to be most helpful for the controllers in the area, which you just answered. So, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. So if you're coming in VFR and you're not talking to us, obviously, you want to stay out of this Charlie and as far south or north of it as you can. The lower typically is the better. If you're 15 miles south, the lower the better. I will say one thing is, and this goes for departing John Toon as well, is when you're talking to Toon Tower, you're not technically in communication with the controlling agency. So when you can go through a Class Charlie airspace when you're talking to ATC, you just have to establish two-way radio communication. Well, John Toon's not the controlling agency. So you call Toon Tower and you go, I'm in communication with ATC. I can now, just clip to Charlie. And that's not true. Same thing with departing that we can get into. When you depart John Toon, you're at 2,300 feet and you're talking to them and you want to keep climbing. You haven't talked to us. You can't do that yet.
And Toon is pretty good about switching you over, though. I mean,
yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah, they are, and they should be telling you to remain clear of the Class Charlie if you are departing the area. I don't know if they do that or not, but they're pretty good about switching you over. Had someone just the other day that continued to climb, and they contacted us 3,000 feet in the Charlie, and they said, hey, Toon hasn't switched us over yet. Well, Toon doesn't have to switch you over. You should be on their frequency until you exit their airspace. So they may be busy, and when you get 4 or 5 miles away from their airspace, outside of their airspace, obviously not through the Charlie yet, you can switch automatically, or you can ask them, can I have an early frequency change to Nashville approach? But yeah, they're usually pretty good. Especially if you ask them, can I switch? They'll usually let you go.
Yeah, and we're reminding people that John Toon does not have radar, and so be prepared to give position reports and work with people and really put that much extra energy into forming a mental image of what's going on around you, because you can't just keep your shoulders down and just figure that somebody's looking out for you on every level. I mean, you got to really pay attention to what's going on. But it's really, I feel like that maybe they've been doing a better job since the expansion of the airspace of getting people pushed off and saying, go ahead and contact departure. It seems like it's kind of going smoother. Is it going smoother from your side?
Yeah, we get people contact us right off. I mean, before we even see them, out of 1,000 feet, it seems like sometimes. So, yeah, they contact us now. On the west side, in 1935, it gets pretty busy. So, just because they ship you, right off the deck to us, we may not be able to get back to you in time. So it's important, don't put yourself in that situation where, hey, I've got to talk to you. I've got to establish radio communication because we may be busy so busy we can't do that. And someone commented here about sounds like filing an IFR plan would be easier. While that may be easier, we also have much greater separation requirements when you're IFR. So we have to keep you 1,000 feet or 3 miles away from every other IFR aircraft. When you're VFR, we don't have to do that. 3 miles is a lot when it comes to slower moving aircraft. So while it may be easier, you're definitely going to guarantee services. It may cause you to get delayed too. So that 12 miles south of the field may be 15 or 18.
Not related necessarily to the fly-in, but I am curious, now that you've had the expanded airspace going now for a little while now, have you noticed a big difference? Has it gotten, I don't want to say better, has it made life a little easier for you guys specifically?
Yeah, I think it's an extremely noticeable difference. The main issues we were having was right on final. I think we had touched on that before, is the old Class Charlie. If anyone was on final at Nashville, starting at 10 miles, they were in the Class Charlie protected area, then they went back out of it, and they really weren't protected until 5 mile final. We're obviously very busy now, and to have aircraft that aren't protected on final until they get within 5 miles was chaotic. So we've seen those issues go away, except for the ones that violate the Charlie and don't talk to us. But it's been a huge help. It's relieved our workload substantially. When we first started the Charlie, I think people were concerned that, now I have to talk to you, now I have to get flight following, and what if I'm not able to? Well, I think we've relieved so much the the traffic calls and the traffic alerts that we were dealing with, that dealing with the additional flight following services hasn't been too much of an issue.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I mean, that would be a bummer to go through so much effort to find out that you actually, can we cancel the whole thing?
Yeah.
We would like the regular Charlie back, please.
Right.
No. So One Dull Geek's asking here, flying into NYC, they often recommend that we cancel IFR if we can right after we're handed off from PHL due to traffic. Do you recommend that coming into BNA?
Recommend canceling. So canceling IFR. Give me a question. Right after we hand it off from Philly due to traffic. Well, again, if we've got separation requirements, if you're IFR, so if you're VFR, that's great for us. Our separation requirements are much less. It doesn't mean that we're going to now aim you towards other aircraft and not care if you get hit. It just takes away that 3 mile bubble in 1,000 feet, and that reduces our workload. We can put you a lot tighter to some confliction points, and if you can cancel, I would recommend it. You'll probably get faster service.
I think that Wendell Geek just wanted to make sure that we know that he flew in New York. I think that's really what that question was about. So, a lot of busier places, including Charlie's, will have VFR flyways. I don't think that Nashville does. What are some common, in that idea, what are some, kind of common flyways? I remember going from Smyrna over Nashville and then over the airport and then north of town over the stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. So
is that a common route you'll expect?
So that's one of them. Like I said, right over top of Nashville is a great spot, 3,000, 3,500 feet because no one's there. Other than that, we don't really have any. You're probably, depending on your altitude, you're probably going to get vectored it seems like you're getting vectored around the Class Charlie airspace, but we don't depict the Class Charlie airspace on our map. We can pull it up, but we don't depict it. We're vectoring you around confliction points, and that typically happens to be about 12 to 15 miles south of the field or further, south or north of the field. So yeah, directly over the top of the airport. And again, you're more likely to get that if you ask for it.
And you do a lot of vectoring of VFR traffic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. We would from an ATC side, we'd like to talk to everyone. So everyone that's coming in, we'd like you to talk to us and us to be able to turn you. Now on the downside of that, we can turn you. So, we try not to obviously delay anyone unnecessarily, but if we can move someone to make our job easier, which sounds selfish, but when we make our job easier, it increases safety. That's what we're doing it for. And you're the ones that's in the airplane, having airplanes pointed at you. So we appreciate you talking to us and letting us move you. But so anyone coming in, we'd love to talk to you.
I personally would rather fly 15 miles extra than having to worry about going bang bang with another airplane. That's not a problem for me.
By the way, Scott, I wanted to ask you, as you were talking, a Black Hawk was coming over my house at probably 300 feet and shaking the walls, going over towards the prison.
Oh yeah,
and they do this. They're blacked out.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I might have asked you this before, but maybe you didn't answer a square answer. But, if you work for the government and you can't say anything, like, I get it, man, but what is going on over there? What kind of secret operations are going on over there? You know what's going on.
You talking about at the prison?
Yeah.
So me and my wife were over there not too long ago over at John Toon. We drove up to the prison, and the police officer, security guard, and he stopped us, and he was like, turn around, get out here. Like, oh, sorry, we just saw a prison. He's like, he would not crack a smile. He was like, get out now. I said, we're at a gate. Like, we're not trying to break in. But yeah, he wasn't friendly at all. I don't know what's going on. I asked the same question.
It's funny. So the Tennessee Department of Correction actually had me go and do a documentary, sort of visual document of the inside and the outside of the whole prison back in 2016. And their whole motivation at the time was, we've got so many people driving up like you guys did to want to just see it because it's so amazing or whatever. And their idea was, if we just go ahead and show everybody everything, then it'll demystify it and they won't bother. I'm like, this is not going to work, but I'm happy to do this. And I did. So anyway, but I just thought there's some kind of strange, in fact, I'm probably the one that knows more. I had to sign a contract that said a lot of the stuff I see there, I can't talk about and all this. So it was like a whole thing. We'll talk about it more. But in the meantime, back to the subject at hand.
Yeah.
I just want to know if you knew what these Black Hawks are doing, man. That's all.
No.
But look, so the other thing I wanted to ask you is, I sent you a message not long ago because I said, look, I was coming on flight following, and another guy that was talking to you said, hey, Scott, is that you? On the radio, trying to bug the controller to figure out if it was Scott. And I believe that it was.
Yeah.
And then I thought, my natural instinct was to say, like, well, I now have to say hi to Scott.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did not do it. I'm not going to be that guy. But now what you're saying is, everybody that's coming in for the fly-in, ask whoever you're talking to if they are Scott.
What initial do you go by?
SW.
Okay. Some people change it up a little bit, so that's why I asked.
I love it when people ask for me and I'm working, but I love it more when I'm not working. And please do.
Yep. We've got a question from Adam. How are transiting VFR flights between 5,500 and 7,500 handled differently from everyone at 3,000?
So 55, we're probably going to push you down. If you're talking to us, we're probably going to push you down to 3,500 feet because it allows us to top our departures, national jet departures primarily. You'll be below them, and the arrivals you'll also be below. If you're at 5,500 or 7,500, eventually you're going to descend, and you're descending either into our departures or into our arrivals. So
Or go all the way around the Super Charlie and add a lot of time to your route.
Right. Yeah. No. So you can be at 55 or 75, but you can expect when you get about 25 miles from Nashville, we're going to start getting you down to probably 45 or 35, and that will allow us to avoid those confliction points, or at least get a lot closer to those confliction points, and not have to take you far around, because you're going to be descending anyway. So we start you down and helps out.
Got it.
Well,
one more quick question. On Saturday, the plan as it stands right now, and it is subject to change, is that there's going to be at least a portion of us, if not a lot of us, are going to go down to Tullahoma to the Beechcraft Museum.
Yeah, cool.
And so is there? We're not going to be flying in formation. We're not going to be a flight, even though we're going to have multiple people in our airplane. But any tips? I mean, there's going to be some that are going to want to get flight following. 15 airplanes, is that going to cause any red flags with the controllers working that sector? Any insight you can give us on that?
Yeah, it's going to drive them nuts. Yeah. No, it's going to be horrible. No. Yeah. So again, that's one of those things that, I would say, unfortunately, you can't get flight following on the ground. It would make it so easy, but John Toon just doesn't have the equipment. So you guys are going Friday or Saturday at what time?
Probably around 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Well, I'll be working.
If we go.
I'll be working. So you can, Brian, you can send me a message, or Ben, you can send me a message, and I'll prepare people and let them know. But depending on how busy we are, Saturday mornings usually aren't that busy. So just remember, when you depart John Toon, to have a plan in case we don't get back to you in time for you to climb through the Charlie. Plan on not being able to climb through the Charlie and staying out of it, and just be patient. And I'll prepare them so that hopefully I'll be working, and I can help you.
Is there a frequency that we can write down to? So let's just, we're going to probably brief everybody. Just stay out of the Charlie. Don't even ask. Just fly under it until you're clear of it. Then maybe reach out. Is there a specific frequency that people can write down now?
Yeah. And I'm not saying that. You definitely give us a call. Because if we're not busy, it's not a big deal. Just understand we may be working on the other flight plan that
Sure.
I just called. So, but yeah, 119.35, 1935
Okay.
is going to be the frequency that you're going to talk to. And again, if I'll be there. So, if you want to send me a reminder while you guys are at the airport, I'll prepare them that you're going to have 15 aircraft call for flight following Tullahoma.
And the advantage of that is that then we don't need to have quite full calls, because it's like John Toon, Tullahoma, don't need to bother spelling it out. You're going to see 15 of those.
Right.
You're not too surprised. It's not like, hey, I'm in the club. It's just,
Yeah.
you know this route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, the best thing to do is if Toon is south, is to just continue on runway heading until you're out of the Charlie. If Toon is north, enter a left downwind to depart the area. But also, and I think we touched on this before, if they are north and you enter a left downwind to depart the airport, try not to cut across the final of Toon. So you get 5 miles south of the field, and you're out of the Delta, and you go, okay, I'm going to contact for flight following. Well, remember, we may have aircraft on the RNAV runway 2. So if you now start to drift towards the final, you're going to be in confliction with all those aircraft. So try to remain west of that final as long as you can.
So, Brian, what we could probably do is find a fix that we can maybe communicate to everybody that they can put into their GPS and fly to, that will keep them west, and then they can make the turn at an appropriate time.
Or just conventional wisdom, right? Like, just if we're departing north and you get on the left downwind departure, keep it an extended left downwind like, don't stay west of final. Just common sense stuff, right? But maybe we can, and maybe it would be easier just to find a fix or something, and people kind of go that way. But yeah, I mean, that's super helpful. I think backing up a little bit, just kind of quickly, high level. I think that there are some people that are coming that are just not used to being in perhaps this busy of an airspace. Or it's just unfamiliar, and everybody knows, it's when you're in an unfamiliar place, it can be a little unnerving. Even if you're comfortable with the circumstances, it's just an extra layer of taxation. So what would you say, Scott, to someone just in a more general sense about their comfort level? And, on one hand, it's super helpful that we're having you on. On another level, it might be to some people like, oh my God, like they had to have an air traffic controller on to, now I've got to figure out all these things, and maybe they're going to come up with fixes that we got to fly to. And like, this is nuts. But like in general, you can get in here and you guys will take care of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So to generalize it is just your positional awareness. You don't have to talk to us at all, but just know if Tune's north and Nashville's north, we've got aircraft on final at Nashville, just like Tune's going to have aircraft on final at Tune. And it's both the same heading. So 02 and 20. We've got three of those, and Tune's got one of them. So if you don't talk to us and we're north, just think about when you're going to Tullahoma, you're at 3,500 feet and passing through the final at Nashville. There may be there are going to be other aircraft. There's going to be airliners there. We prefer that you talk to us so that we can tell you about those airliners and we can turn you away from them. But if you don't, just understand you'll probably see some big cool airplanes come close to you. But yeah, just positional awareness on where you are. If they're north, we are too, probably. If they're south, it's a little easier going to and from Tullahoma because you don't have all that final traffic at Nashville. Everyone's going to be departing Nashville and climbing above you anyway. But yeah, just positional awareness.
One other quick point on that, for those that may not have flown in busy airspace before, we call it reading the room when you're on frequency, and be mindful that these guys are busy. You can kind of figure out the gaps and when you can make your call to them. Just be careful to step on each other. Don't step on each other is what I'm trying to say. It can be a little tricky sometimes when you got a controller that's got his plate full and he's given one command after the next. Just be patient is what I found. You'll get there. You'll be able to talk with them in time. But just I know it can be frustrating at controllers when you have 3 aircraft all calling in at the same time and you can't figure out which one's which.
Right. And one thing I just thought of too is for us, when we put in a full flight plan for someone, it goes to the NAS. So you'll get a squawk code that the center will also get. We'll transfer you over to the center. But that takes a lot more. It takes more information and it takes time. It actually takes a few seconds, which is a lot of time in ATC world to get that code for it to generate. If you're just staying in the local area of Nashville, we already have these set codes that we can give you and they're immediate. We don't need all the information. Seeing as you're only going to Tullahoma, if we terminated you terminated your flight following right before you get to Shelbyville is what the center is going to do anyway. We can get those codes really quick. So what we might do, or what I might brief them to do, or what I might do is I may just give you a local code and you can essentially just pop up and give me your call sign and say, hey, I'm headed to Tullahoma, and I can tell you a code immediately. We don't have to go this back and forth type aircraft, altitude you want thing. It can be real quick. So we'll make it easy. I'll brief them. Saturday mornings, like I said, is pretty slow, and we got a good crew there. So,
well, it's also good to know how much easier it is. I've always known it's a little bit easier, but yeah, that's helpful. And with this many people, not having to tell everyone, okay, make sure to ask for local following. It's like,
yeah, no,
just be able to pop up and do it.
I think that'd be easier. Yeah. The only disadvantage would be, that you're not going to get it past 10, 15 miles south of Murfreesboro. But really, once we hand you off to the center, they're going to terminate your flight following immediately anyway. So that would be the only disadvantage. But yeah, I think
that makes sense though to do it that way.
Yeah.
I was really hoping, Scott, that you would come on and just say, well, there's a little known thing that people don't take advantage of, where for events just like this, you can just get on the frequency and just say, hey, Scott, Midlife Pilot Podcast, Tullahoma. And then,
yeah, even if it's not me, just say that. And
yeah,
I'll probably pay a break and I'll get paged back.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to pass on a message from our friend RH over at Opposing Bases. He says he loves the new airspace.
Oh,
so
yeah, good.
I wanted to see if he had anything to say. That's what he said.
Yeah,
nice.
Thank you.
And Scott, hopefully you'll have some time if you're around after your shift on Saturday. If you want to join us Saturday night, or at any point during any of the funtivities, feel free. If not, and if this was just already enough for you, I totally understand.
No, absolutely. That sounds fun. I appreciate you asking about that. And yeah, I think Shelly and I are gonna try and make it out Saturday. I looked up with some place in the Nations, right?
Yeah, we're going. It's Bringle's Smoking Oasis, which is a strange name. It sounds like a head shop or something, but or like a hookah bar. But it's a barbecue place. It's right there at 51st and Centennial, and it's kind of right in the middle of the road, basically. So,
I want to give a shout out for Scott and Shelly. You guys are still doing the real estate, aviation real estate. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, we do all real estate, but we just
all real estate. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody that's moving to the Nashville area, you should definitely hit up Scott and Shelly Wexler.
Or if you're leaving the Nashville area.
But yes. I can't imagine anybody wanting to do that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have some amazing properties. You definitely, we'll make sure that all your links are in the show notes and make sure that people will go check it out. Because even if you're like, for me, I'm unfortunately not even close to being in the market for half of the things that I see, but it gives me dreams, like I see it, and I'm like, oh my God, there's people that right now, Scott is having a conversation with somebody and there's somebody on the other line and they're like, yeah, I totally have the money for this. I'm just wondering if I should just choose this lifestyle or not. It's like an alternate universe of humanity that's going on that I don't have any, I don't understand it, but I'm fascinated by it. Yeah, and the properties you guys, sell are always just mind-blowing. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have this background and be able to get involved in those. A lot of people hear a lot, especially people not in aviation, that they had no clue that there was a private airstrip 15 miles east of Nashville or 20 miles northwest of Nashville. So
yeah, I was looking at the Whifferdale listing. Yeah, so cool, man. Well, anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go get rich real quick and then we'll check back with you.
That sounds good.
No, but really, man, I know you're super busy. You need to get some sleep. Thanks so much I imagine everybody's going to have a little bit more of a focused and relaxed trip here because of your time. So we really appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And don't let it stress you out. If worst case, like I said, just stay out of Charlie and think about if we're north or south, but I will be there Saturday. I'm going to let everyone know. So, if you don't like talking to ATC, it's 1935. I promise we'll be nice. And help you guys out as much as we can. When you're coming back in, you can get flight following with Methods Center and or us too. But we'd like to talk to every single one of you if you can. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, anybody else got any questions real quick? Anything else? We good?
No, we appreciate your time, Scott.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Scott.
Great.
Please get some rest.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Yeah, bye.
All right.
Thanks for getting him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a quick last minute. It's one of those things. How apropos for aviation, right? Where it's like, we planned to have a podcast on Tuesday night at, this time. And then now here we are. Well, we're doing it a day early and 30 minutes before the show, we're going to have Scott on. This is great.
Yeah,
So.
People don't know. We didn't move this because of Scott. We moved it and then asked Scott if he was available, and he was. And how fantastic is that?
So great. So great.
So should we maybe go over the provisional flight
provisional
flight
Previsional
plan.
sounds like before sight.
That's right. About what the plans are and what people can expect. What do y'all think? Do we want to do that or not?
I mean, I think we can do a little bit here, but I think that what I want to remind people of, if they've made it this far in the Nashville Fly-In preview episode, is that you need to be in our Discord, and we have a channel that is specific for the Fly-In that is open to anyone, whether you're a patron or not. And that is going to be increasingly important as we get into the dynamic conditions that are the weather and some of the circumstances around our plan A, B, C, and D for this weekend. And so everybody, in the spirit of true aviation planning for the sake of planning, but being flexible because you have to, that is the place where you're going to get the information. This podcast will be out tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Correct. And so I hope that enough people get their hands on it. But we really want people to go there, and then obviously on our website or wherever you can find things. But we do want to go over it. And Ben, maybe you can start us off with maybe what we have outlined in our provisional plan.
Provisional. So most people are going to be coming in on Friday, April 26th. And, from what we've heard so far, they're going to be arriving at different times during the day. There's some of us that are coming in Thursday, but for the majority of the group, and I'll come back to Thursday in a second, but we've chosen a place called Cezanne's Brewing Company, and we'll send out. We've posted on our Patreon page this thing that I'm reading from, and maybe we could do an email just to make sure they get it. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We're going to do 6 p.m.-ish pizza and beer and welcomes and telling lies and hearing about One Dull Geek's excellent landings like he just posted earlier. And we'll be doing that Friday. It's relatively close to the hotel, if I'm not mistaken. Brian,
it's kind of like halfway between the hotel and the airport, and John Toon Airport. We're
going to have people there with some cars. There's going to be some Ubers. It's going to be just kind of a grab bag of different things. But if you'll look on the Patreon site, and we'll probably post this in the Nashville channel on Discord, definitely, maybe pin it somewhere there. People can get the address to give to their Uber drivers and what have you. So that's the plan for Friday. Anything you want to add?
Well, we're meeting at 6 p.m. ish because people are going to be arriving at different times. If you get there at 7, we'll still be there. Don't worry about it.
Right. It's not going to be formal enough that everybody sits down and we, break bread at exactly the same time. We're just going to kind of roll in, eat when you get there. Yeah. Even if we're all coming from the hotel, we can still eat 10 minutes apart from each other, and you remember that around tables and
like you remember that phase when you were a kid where once you get to be a sort of functional teenager, maybe 12 or 13, preteen, age, and then you can slowly see your parents just giving up on parenting already. You know what I mean? You can just see it where they're just done.
Are you kidding me? I'm living that today. I gave up about 3 years ago, actually, but yes, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, that's kind of how we planned this thing. It's like we wanted to have a place for people to meet, but it's not like we have a sanctioned group at the place. We don't know who's going to, we had to kind of plan around a lot of unknowns and try to just be able to withstand those things. So that's why it's kind of, hey, we're going to be here generally at this time for an undisclosed amount of time. I don't know. And then people just show up and then we'll figure it out. And honestly, if people want to go a little later, there's a lot of places right around there that you can go a little later. I would recommend not doing that if you're going to be getting up early and flying the next day. Now, getting into that, the next day, Saturday, this coming Saturday, we do have funtivities planned, but we also have weather. I don't want to speculate on the weather on this episode right now. We'll do that in the Discord.
So this is being recorded Monday night, April 22nd. So make your predictions now and let's see how wrong we are. Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever I say, it'll be the opposite. So
exactly.
I'm going to say it's going to be great.
Yes.
No, it's going to be, I'll say it's going to be awful, and that way it'll be great. But it's going to be windy, I think, is the one surefire thing. I think it's going to be a little gusty and a little windy. I put some notes in the Discord earlier today. I want to remind people, and this is something you should do whether you're coming to Fly-In or not. Have your personal minimums updated, current, and be ready to stick by them. What I don't want is people to come here and then feel social pressure as an external pressure to do something because everybody else is doing it. And I want to fly too, or whatever. There might be a thing where half of us can kind of do, half of us might feel comfortable in 15 gusting 30 if it's, close enough down the runway, whatever. But nobody should be. This is not the event or the time to be at an unfamiliar place to start working on stretching your personal minimums with respect to ceilings or winds or anything else. I just want to drive that home. We're not.
I will applaud you if you choose not to fly as much as I would applaud you if you didn't. If you did fly. So yes, we are going to encourage the behavior of sticking to your personal minimums, whatever they may be.
Yeah, that's kind of the Mike Patey thing.
That's exactly right. That's what I got it from.
Yeah. Saying no is a much better thing than saying, yeah, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you brought your plane out. No, just leave your plane there, ride with someone else, take a car, whatever.
Yep.
That's not the goal.
That's right. So also we published some other bits of info in there, things that we wanted people to look out for or think about. So again, it's all about the Discord. Now, Saturday, I believe we have a good weather plan and we have a bad weather plan. The one thing we don't have is it's going to be pretty good, I think, sometime. We could easily get into a position where we're waiting around for things to clear up or to get better. That is why we are making a go, no-go decision early on Saturday so that we don't end up in a state of suspended animation for the whole day. Now, there might be a little room to fudge that if it's really, I don't know. But I think that if it's not already on the way to looking pretty convincingly good, we're just going to call it because it's just not worth all of that. Now, I'm saying that here on the podcast, and then we're going to come back next week and be like, we just sat at the airport all day waiting for the weather to get better, and it was awesome, and we had the most fun. So, best laid plans, right? So we're trying to do these things right. And then Saturday night, as we mentioned to Scott, we're meeting at Bringle's Smoking Oasis. It is not a hookah bar. It is a barbecue place with a big outdoor area and, all that. So we're just going to be hanging out, man. It's just going to be fun. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Bo Sharp in the chat asked, how many, or have you shared an estimated plane and head count? And rough numbers, I think if everything holds true, we'll have about 15 airplanes. Actually 16. Where there was a late addition this afternoon. Somebody who y'all are going to want to get to meet and buy beers for, because this gentleman has more dirt on me than my family, probably. So about 15, 16 airplanes, and I'm guessing between 40 and 45 people ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Hard to know exactly, but yeah, I think that's where we're going to be at.
What we're having a hard time figuring out is what's it going to be if the weather's poor or if the weather's in between.
Exactly. So. That's, people that have filled out the survey and said that they're definitely coming. I think it may be 13 or 12 planes if the weather is bad. But, things change. It may be thunderstorms and people may not be able to, maybe beyond an IFR flight plan is what I'm saying. So,
yeah. Well, the other variable too is that there's a lot of people that are within the Nashville larger kind of region or area that are essentially local that are not flying necessarily, but they are coming to Friday night, or they're coming to Saturday night, or they're coming to different phases of what's going on. So, there's no way to tell, but I guarantee you, Ben's going to be there because that's just how it goes. Ted is going to be there because he's probably in my house somewhere right now. And then, and I will be there because I'm already right in the middle of it. So really, I mean, what else do you need, right? I mean, we're there. No, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit hectic and a little bit wild. And we kind of, I'll say this, we are in over our heads and we are doing the best that we can.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And so most people are staying at the hotel that is over off of Murphy Road. And so I think a lot of us will be kind of convening there at various points. And then Sunday morning, we're going to meet at the coffee shop / breakfast place that's right next to the hotel. And then the weather is looking pretty good for Sunday. I think that what's going to happen is there's going to be some Sunday flying, and we've got some spots that we can do. I have a feeling it's going to go on beyond what was planned.
I agree, and Lambert's has kind of been high on my list for a while, and I was kind of trying to contemplate how we could combine the two, but with 15 airplanes in the space and all of this, I think Lambert's, for those who have the time available to them, I am bringing up two folks that are flying in from the Northeast. Chris C. and Biff B. are coming in to Atlanta, and they're sticking their necks out and actually going to get in the airplane with me, and God help them both. But if I think their flights are not till the evening on Sunday, which will afford us a fair amount of time, and maybe we'll do that. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just know that whatever happens, it's going to be awesome. And so,
So this is our 4th annual, if I'm doing my math correct.
Not annual.
We did Ocracoke, or we did the Outer Banks, and then the Nashville, and then St. Simon's, and then this one. I don't think I've missed any.
No, I think you got it.
The thing about it, and what really drew me to this podcast before I was a host, was
before I took it over.
Somebody stuck a gun in my head and said, "I need you to take this over." And I felt. But no, it's the hangs.
Is that what I saw you off in the corner in the Outer Banks 2 years ago, and it looked like you were pointing at Chris kind of angrily. And I think you said something about like, one day this will be mine. Is that right?
You know how uncomfortable that's gonna make me feel, which is the whole reason why you said that.
No,
because that's my personality. I'm so angry. But no, my point being is just the hangs. It's being with people at night and just chatting about whatever. That it's always been the best part of the whole get together. So and flying is okay, it's fine, but it's really getting to know everybody a little bit better.
This reminds me of some of the flying I feel like I do the kind of this time of year and in the winter where it's like, oh, the weather's good, I'm going, I got to get out somewhere. Or the weather's not good and you're like, all right, I'm just staying in. And I think it's going to be a little bit of that, which is we're going to look up, see what the weather's doing and decide what kind of fun we're having. It'll be fun if we go flying. It'll be fun if we don't. So
there's one important point we need to mention for those that are bringing maybe family up that's not into the flying, that want to maybe go see some of the other sites around Nashville. The Rock and Roll Marathon and Half Marathon is going on this weekend. And so there's going to be a fair number of road closures. We have not done any research as to which roads. It's not going to affect where we're going to be, but keep that in mind. You can find out information about the course if you Google Rock and Roll Marathon. I've run the half marathon, and it is a hilly race. It was miserable. By the way,
you did? Were you here?
Here, there in Nashville.
Golly, you're kind of a superhero.
Yeah,
not really. I stopped running in about 2015 and hung my cape up back then.
All right, so Ted, you said you got some clips to play real quick.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping this up, I want to follow up with some of the feedback from last week when we talked flying with kids. And having Erica on was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had 2 clips that we didn't have time to play that really have a lot of value. One of them is from our friend Josh, who I was really hoping he was going to make it to the fly-in, and he won't, but that's okay. But he recorded a bit for me here.
Hey, it's Josh checking in from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. For me, flying with kids hasn't just been a fun part of the aviation journey, but it's pretty much been the whole reason for it. My wife and I had my family in Pittsburgh and her family in a vacation spot in Massachusetts. And that's a really annoying combination of too far to drive and no direct flights. With GA, though, this is the perfect mission. It's about 3 hours and we're there. Since then, we haven't missed a single holiday with either side of the family. I grew confident that my kids would be okay with flying, really by accident. I had them ride along with me on lessons in the 172 that I was training in, and for each of them, they ended up getting a day that was really windy, and they had a couple of shaky student landings. But at the end of it, they both had a smile on their face. And then, after my wife and I took a test flight in a Cirrus, and she came away excited and enthusiastic, I knew we had a chance to have some great adventures in an airplane as a family. Now, a couple years later, my daughter in college has 80 hours in the plane with me, and my son has 140 hours. For them, it's become routine, which is great operationally. They know what to expect. They know the emergency procedures and everything. But it's also a little sad when they just fall asleep. But in the end, I'm just so thankful that we get to experience together the joys of flying and the adventures and family time that flying enables for us.
I always love it when we hear from Josh. He's kind of like the number one mission pilot of he had something he needed to do, and he's got a family, and the plane fits his family, and that's what he does is a lot of that flying back and forth. He's actually on a 1,000+ mile long cross country this week. He said it's his longest, so that's kind of cool for him.
It's gonna be a bummer that he won't be there.
Yep. Yeah, I do love it. And he mentioned it about the kid falling asleep. It's always. I see it on so-called Flying Monkeys videos where it's like, it would be so amazing to be one of those kids where you're so used to flying that it's just so normal that you're in the back bored on your phone or asleep. That's all flying is to you. And that's pretty cool. So I've got one other clip here from Grizzly. And he actually talks a little bit about an issue that we talked about kids' ears. So let's play that one.
Aero Grizzly here. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Always wanted to say that. Since the show topic this week is flying with kids, and I happen to fly with a kid, I thought I'd drop a line. When my son was 6, I figured he was old enough to sit in the right seat and not mess with anything vital on final, so decided to get back into the air with him as my co-pilot. It is amazing. When he was 7, we bought an RV6. He's 10 now, and the plane is our personal adventure machine. 2 seats side by side, so we get to have some time that's just us. Few tips for flying with kids, especially younger ones. For their first flight, or if they're really young, take mom, dad, or someone else who can help manage them if they get sick, freak out, or have any other issues. A screaming kid is a distraction you do not want. Little kids have surprisingly strong legs, and especially if they're sitting in a booster seat, those legs can be in perfect yoke kicking position. Climb and descend slowly. The change in pressure can affect their little ears even more than adults, and they probably won't understand the concept of popping them. Don't force it. Like a significant other, they might just not like it, or they don't like it on that particular day, or they just want to ride in the plane to get to Legoland and don't want to sit there while you bore holes in the sky and burn through their college fund. Maybe they'll love it, maybe they won't, maybe they'll like it off and on. Kids are like that. Enjoy it. They are the future and all that. If you really want to make a difference, look into Flying Young Eagles. That look on kids' faces when the aviation bug really bites is priceless. Thanks for the podcast and the community.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've flown in that plane, and it's great because Grizzly's name is on the left side and his son's name is on the right side of the plane. And it's like, how cool is that? Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting too. I never thought about that you have to think about it as it might come and go, with kids, the interest or the willingness or whatever. So That's awesome. I love that. That's really well done. Both of those are really great clips. I'm glad we were able to squeeze those in this week.
Yeah.
Also, that concept of the kid kicking the yoke because they're having a tantrum or whatever. And it's like, oh, I didn't even have that thought. Like an adult, if they hit it, realize that they did something and to stop.
Yeah.
And a kid like that may not even think about that. And it's a good reminder too.
Ben, Biff and Chris are not going to be using booster seats in your plane, are they?
No, I don't think that's going to be necessary. While having never met them, I do believe they are of height that would not require a booster seat. I do want to make a quick point. In the chat, Steve Cross has pointed something else that in relation to the marathon, they usually close the streets until about 12 p.m. or so. So if you are bringing your family up and you wanted to go to Broadway or somewhere, your family does,
just wait till later.
Maybe plan for it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So thank you for pointing that out, Steve.
Good thinking. But yeah, everything we're doing is west of where all of those disruptions will be. And we asked the city to spare us any road closures that would affect our meager fly-in.
We said, here's the hotel, here's John Toon. Don't cross that path. And they said, okay, we respect that.
Yeah. And the only other thing I don't know about, and maybe something we should look at, is if there's going to be any TFRs relative to it. I
haven't seen anything on Garmin Pilot yet. So that doesn't mean that they won't pop up, but usually if there's a VIP, they're, within a week, you'll see them.
Yeah.
One other quick point that I had alluded to earlier, there's a small group of us coming up on Thursday. We'll be posting things in the Discord chat of where we are. I don't want to say this on the podcast, but with the phone numbers, I think we're going to publish either mine or Ted's or both of ours, maybe.
Oh, you can message us through,
just in case you need to get a hold of us. But so we'll be up on Thursday afternoon. We're going to go find a place to go tell war stories, drink beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of getting started earlier and earlier. I mean, I think that we're going to be there. It's going to be 2 days from now, and we'll be on Wednesday. And we'll be
Wendell Geek is already in the air. So it's happening. Yeah.
No, well, that's
I've
cool.
been there for about 2 weeks. So
it's cool. Just people are excited. I'm excited. Real quick, Louis Robichaud had a question that he had emailed us, I believe. And in short, he's basically asking what level of weather challenges would cause you all to cancel the event altogether? At what point would you issue a conclusive go, no go? Generally, it's sort of what we talked about before. Obviously, convective weather becomes the great neutralizer for even the best and most valiant efforts to fly. So convective weather is definitely going to be something that will if it's around us and proximate, then we're not going to do anything. Whether we say it's a go or no go, it is not whether you go or no go. Ultimately, everybody's a grown up and can do whatever they want to do. But in terms of what, I think there's going to be some sort of a median baseline thing that I think it's not even really written down in stone, but I think we're going to know it when we see it. If we don't feel that the median baseline of what's going on is at a comfort level or a safety level, if the ceilings are 4,000 and it's gusting 35, it's okay. Could we do that? Is that within a lot of people's minimums? Yeah. I'm not sure at that point if it's going to be leaving, if it gets to the point where it's like, there's 3 people that really can fly with confidence and safety in this, and the rest of it are kind of like, I don't know, maybe we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do it, right?
So,
and to his point, he was asking, is there anything that would happen that would have us cancel the entire weekend event? And I'll just tell you, God forbid there's a tornado that just wipes out Toon Airport. And I hate to say it, but that's happened before.
Yeah.
But I will put Chris and Biff in the car and we'll drive up. I mean, there will be some of us up there come hell or high water.
Well, and there's people that are local, and there's people that are, like me, they're coming in commercially.
Exactly.
And so it's like,
So
there is no
happen.
right. There is no like call off the whole thing just because that doesn't really exist.
At the very worst, what's going to happen is we're going to be having a grand old time in the lobby of the hotel or on the rooftop of the hotel.
Yes.
And just hanging there. If that's the least thing that will go on, and that would still be a blast. So yeah, no worries. It's all happening. Just make sure your insurance is good and your paperwork's good and, all that. But we did put some specific information about John Toon in terms of parking operations and things in the Discord. Basically, it's always under construction. You're probably not going to get a tie down. They are going to tow your plane somewhere and store it in between hangars or kind of anywhere. There are no special accommodations being made for. Even though I talked to them and said we got 15 planes, they were like, so like it's just.
And then you said, "But I'm Brian Siskin."
No, I did not. No, I said I'm sorry I even came here and bothered you. But
it is hilarious that we just got special handling for ATC, and on the ground they don't even know our name. So
they're just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Fuel, and just little stuff. We're talking about, hey, fuel's actually very expensive. It's over $7 a gallon. So just do the bare, get 5 aside, support the airport a little bit, tip the line guys. But if you want to top off, do it in Tullahoma. It's a lot cheaper. So, or wherever, anywhere is cheaper. So anyway, we've got a lot of that helpful information. Please stay with us on the Discord. And, I am amazed that we have gotten this far and that we're right up against it now. And I am cramming a bunch of work and things into the next couple days. I know a lot of other people are. We really appreciate it. It's just going to be that much more worthwhile and just nice to see everybody and to have a good time. And Ted's got the introvert thing covered. He's got to have separate activities for each corner of the room. Like there'll just be like a small table with a couple of Rubik's cubes and some like noise canceling earbuds or something.
So I can't stress this enough. We want everybody there to arrive safe and sound. Know your personal minimums. Brian is preaching it earlier. If you can't make it this year, it's not the end of the world. We'll do it again at some point in time in the future. If you can't make it and like you have a leaky fuel selector, maybe we'll just come to where you are for the next fly-in. I don't know.
Exactly.
But just please be safe out there. Mind your checklist, mind your personal minimums. We want everybody there safe and sound.
If you need a phone a friend for weather or tracking or anything else, ask somebody in Discord, ask one of us. We're happy to help out. And, let us know, give us your tail number when you're headed inbound so we can all, keep an eye on you. That was one of the fun things that we did at the last Nashville event, right? Was sitting there watching everybody come in and apparently watching Evan's son, Sam, checking me out on a plane and following that track all the way through the sky. So, yeah.
Man.
No,
hey, by the way, fellow introvert just showed up, missed the whole thing. Hi, Cheryl.
Yes.
So, Cheryl will also be part of the early bird introvert crowd, and we're very excited about that.
Yep.
And we'll have CFI Sam there too, looks like.
Yeah.
Can't wait to catch up with him.
Yeah. But this episode has been so good. We have so much plausible deniability for just about, we've absolved ourselves of anything at this point. So I think this is great. Ben, what is the whiskey that you like to drink again?
Golly, put me on the spot. Basil Hayden, Short Barrel, Woodford, Makers.
All right, Woodford.
Macallan, Scotch.
Oh yeah, that's
Holland
the one.
Park.
Yeah, Macallan. That's the one I hear you talking about a lot.
Yeah. White Claw. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Brian, do we have camera crew?
Yeah. So, yes, everybody will be taking their own pictures and video, and we'll give people instructions afterwards on where to dump all that stuff. And then I have our friend Michael's going to be out, filming some stuff, depending on what's happening, right? But one of the plans that we have is I want to get down to Tullahoma before everybody else, and we're going to set up a nice long lens and want to get really high quality shots of everybody's landings, so that everybody's just really freakishly nervous about it.
Are you going to make the Ben joke, or am I?
You are.
Come on.
You got to get that long lens, watch all 3 of his landings. Yeah.
Yes.
It's all good. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, listen, if you're not giving me a hard time, then I think something's wrong.
Exactly.
The way I was raised, I've got 3 older sisters. It's been my entire life, so it's all good.
Well, the other thing too is that, Tullahoma is only a 30-minute flight. So if we're flying and you're feeling good, you just want to keep flying for a while, but you're there, you want to do 4 or 5 landings, do it, man.
Yeah.
And Tullahoma is one of those airports where when you get down and then you land and then you park and then you get out and you realize that they have a gigantic, very loud speaker blasting the frequency all over the airport grounds, and then you start rewinding in your head all of the radio calls that you've made.
That may be the best PSA of this whole podcast.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
So what's going to happen is it's only a 30-minute flight, and you got BNA covering you. Scott's going to take care of us. But then when you get there, we're going to have a professional quality camera filming in great detail from the ground your landing or landings or your go-arounds, and the ambient sound of your voice projecting all over the airport grounds over the giant loudspeaker, like it's an invasion.
And there was also a V-22 Osprey doing pattern work when we were there, so it just adds to the whole surreal nature of the whole thing.
Yeah,
and there were gliders when we were taking off. So yeah.
We'll talk more about those kind of little details too. Be aware. There's a lot of different types of aircraft and things going on there. Awesome. Anything else, Ben? You want to get us out of here?
Sure. Thanks to everybody in the chat for joining us. We look forward to seeing those that are joining us next weekend. And next week, we'll be doing a fly-in review instead of a preview. And we hope to see you there. Thanks to everybody for joining in. Thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you. Signing off episode 72 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Good night, everybody.